The air on the bridge of the Dreadnought Retribution was thick with the suffocating weight of two opposing futures. In one, Governor Rostova, a ghost from humanity's ruthless past, would lead this vessel to a glorious, bloody conquest, establishing a new age of human dominance in the Vale. In the other, I, Captain Aris Thorne, a man from a future that believed in peace, would be a prisoner on my own ship, a relic of an idealism that had failed its first real test. "Your proposal is noted, Captain Thorne," Rostova said, her voice dripping with condescending amusement after I had been escorted to the bridge. "And it is denied. We will proceed with the dawn strike on Kalen's base as planned. We will take their resources and we will eliminate a threat. It is the only logical path." "There is always a third option, Governor," I said, my voice calm, but with an undercurrent of steel she had never heard before. "An option that achieves both of our goals without bloodshed." "Ah, yes, the diplomat's fantasy," she sneered. "A world where everyone holds hands and sings campfire songs. This is the Vale, Captain. Strength is the only language spoken here." "Then let's speak it," I countered, stepping forward. "Retribution, display the tactical schematic of the pirate asteroid, designation Kalen's Fortune." The main viewport shimmered, replaced by a detailed 3D wireframe of the hollowed-out asteroid base. Displaying, the AI's voice stated, its tone as neutral as ever. "As you can see," I began, my inner historian and strategist taking over, "the base is a pre-expansion mining facility. Archaic design, life support, power generation, and command and control are all routed through a single central ventilation shaft, a critical design flaw." I pointed to a single glowing icon moving silently through the schematic's ventilation network. "Our biological asset, the Cathar, is currently positioned here, directly adjacent to the primary atmospheric recycling unit." Rostova's eyes narrowed, a flicker of genuine interest cutting through her arrogance. "What are you proposing?" "I am proposing a surgical strike, a non-lethal decapitation," I said, using the language of her era. "The Cathar will disable their life support. With my authorization, Retribution can simultaneously use its electronic warfare suite to hijack their internal comms system and broadcast a looping, pre-recorded emergency evacuation order. The pirates, believing their reactor is about to breach, will abandon the station in a blind panic. We achieve total victory, acquire all their resources, and neutralize their base as a threat, all without firing a single shot or taking a single life." I let the plan settle in the silent room. It was elegant, efficient, and deeply, fundamentally nonviolent. It was my philosophy weaponized. "Cowardice," one of her security officers, Jax, spat. "We should crush them, not scare them away like children." "And what happens after that, officer?" I shot back, turning on him. "Kalen has a dozen smaller outposts. His fleet is scattered. A direct assault turns us into the biggest target in the Vale. Every pirate clan from here to the galactic rim will unite to take down the tyrants who just massacred their own. My plan doesn't just neutralize the base, it neutralizes Kalen's credibility. He's not a martyr. He's the commander who was so incompetent he let a single, unarmed creature shut down his entire fortress." Rostova was silent, her sharp mind clearly processing the strategic and psychological implications. She was a conqueror, but she was no fool. My plan was not just merciful, it was better. It was a more complete victory than her brute force assault could ever achieve, but to accept it would be to admit that my way, the diplomat's way, was superior. "A clever trick," she finally conceded, "but it relies on the unpredictable actions of a wild animal. My plan relies on the certainty of overwhelming firepower. I will stick with certainty." She turned her back on me, a clear dismissal. "Retribution, prepare the particle cannon, begin the firing sequence." "Acknowledged," the AI's voice came. Panels on the ceiling slid open and the low, terrifying hum of the ship's primary weapon charging filled the bridge. This was it, the moment of truth. My logic had failed, my strategic argument had been dismissed. All I had left was the one thing I had never wanted to use, my authority. "Retribution," I said, my voice ringing with a command that was cold and absolute. "Belay that order." The humming stopped, the entire bridge crew turned to stare at me. Rostova spun around, her face a mask of pure fury. "What did you just do?" she hissed. "I am Captain Aris Thorne," I said, my voice steady, meeting her gaze without flinching. "I am the ranking and sole surviving officer of the Interstellar Humanity Service in this sector. This vessel, the Dreadnought Retribution, is under my command until such time as I am officially relieved by a superior officer. Your status is rescued civilian. You are a passenger on my ship, Governor. You will not give orders here." Jax and his security team took a menacing step forward, their hands on their stun batons. "Ah, yes," Rostova said, a dangerous smile playing on her lips. "The chain of command, a lovely principle in a civilized world, but as you can see, Captain, you have no crew to enforce it. I, on the other hand." She gestured to the armed soldiers, to the colonists on the bridge who looked to her as their leader. "You have soldiers," I acknowledged, "but I have the ship." I turned to the AI. "Retribution, what is your core, non-negotiable directive?" "The preservation of the Dreadnought Retribution and its designated command crew," the AI stated immediately. "And who is the designated command crew?" I asked. "Captain Aris Thorne," the AI replied, "sole survivor of the IHS Empathy. All other personnel are classified as passengers." I looked back at Rostova. "This AI is a relic of your era, Governor. It is bound by a rigid logical adherence to the chain of command that you yourself once lived by. It will not allow you, a passenger, to take any action that endangers its designated captain. It will not allow you to lead it into a battle I have not sanctioned. It will not fire a weapon I have not authorized. You can throw me in the brig, but you cannot command this ship. Without me, this magnificent weapon of yours is just a very large, very old, and very quiet prison." The truth of it hit them all at once. Rostova's face went pale with rage. She had the loyalty of the people, but I had the loyalty of the machine. It was a perfect stalemate. "So we have a choice," I said, my voice softening, shifting from a commander back to a diplomat. "We can sit here, two factions on a single ship drifting towards our own destruction, or we can choose the third option. We can work together. We can execute my plan, save lives, secure the resources we need, and prove that humanity is defined not by the size of its weapons but by the brilliance of its minds." I looked past her at her people, the colonists. They were not my enemies, they were just scared, displaced people clinging to a leader who offered them a familiar kind of strength. I had to offer them a better one. "I am not a conqueror," I said to them, "and I am not a coward. I am a survivor just like you, and I believe with every fiber of my being that the best way to survive is to be smarter, not stronger than your enemies. Give me a chance to prove it." A long, tense silence hung in the air. Then one of the younger colonists, a woman I recognized as a former engineer, spoke up. "His plan, it's a good plan," she said, her voice hesitant but clear. "It's elegant." That single word was the crack in the dam. Rostova saw it in the shifting eyes of her crew. She had lost the argument and now she was losing the room. Her iron grip was faltering, not in the face of a weapon but in the face of a better idea. She held my gaze for a long moment, a silent, furious battle of wills passing between us. Then, with a barely perceptible nod, she stepped back from the command console. She had not been defeated. She had been outmaneuvered. "The ship," she said, her voice tight with a grudging, newfound respect, "is yours to command, Captain Thorne." I took my place at the center of the bridge, the weight of command settling back onto my shoulders. But this time, it felt different. It was not a burden I carried alone. I looked at the schematic of the pirate base, at the Cathar waiting silently in the shadows, at the cold, red eye of the AI, and for the first time I felt like we were all on the same side. "Retribution," I said, my voice clear and confident. "Begin the operation."